Hi everyone, today I got to try the Nicker Painters Gouache, and first I had to do swatches just to see what they look like. So first I took a little bit of paint straight out of the tube with my brush and I put it on my palette and added some water or not depending on how thick it was. Most of the time it came with a little bit of binder, so I didn't have to add too much water, and I was very pleased to see how bright and colorful those paints are. Of course I kind of expected it because Nickers is a brand that's especially known for the poster colors that the Japanese anime studios use, so they're not natural colors that you find in nature, but they're nice and bright and they're really pretty. I didn't find that this gouache was very thick, but then again, I took it right out of the tube. I didn't put a glob of it on my palette, so maybe it is thicker than I think. But my guess is that it's gonna be closer to poster color than the gouache I'm used to use. It's spread very nicely on the paper and it looks nice and opaque. Once I was done with my swatches, I used the white over all the other colors to see how opaque it was, and was happily surprised. The only thing that I was surprised about, not necessarily happily though, is that all the colors have a nice matte finish like gouache usually does, except for the white. It seems to be a bit glossy. So because just doing swatches to me is not enough to get a feel for supplies, I decided to do a little doodle with them. In my next video, I will be actually making a bigger painting, but right now I just wanted to fill the page a bit more, and I wanted to paint a sky and some clouds. And then I found a portrait of Kiki from Kiki's Delivery Service where it's just the head and shoulders in front of a sky background, so I thought it was perfect. It was very easy to paint the sky. The colors blend together very easily. For the clouds, I used my wet brush to remove some of the sky and define the clouds. And I found that the paint is very easy to re-wet, which can be good, but can be tricky also later on when adding layers over those first layers. So once I removed some of the blue for the clouds, then I added some pure white and I started building values that way. For the shadows, I mixed a bit of the blue from my sky, and then I mixed a tiny bit of red and some white to make a light bluish purple. And I just kept on building the values like that. But when I was done with the clouds, because I put a lot of thick white to make it pop, that's why I realized that the white is definitely very shiny when you add a thick layer of it. So to me it's kind of concerning. So I don't know if there's any additives to the paint. I know that sometimes gum arabic or honey, when you add it to paint, it makes it shinier, but I'm not sure. So maybe later on when I paint with this gouache, I might not use that white, but another brand instead, because I'm not sure I want some shiny bits to my painting. So I sketched Kiki over the sky. I wanted to see how opaque the colors are. So when I started adding the layers of colors, right away I could see the colors underneath showing through. And it's not because the paints aren't opaque, it's because they're very easy to re-wet, so they start blending with them. So I had to be very, very careful and add a lot of layers. It's not like when you're using acrylic paint where when your layer is dry, you can add another layer on top of it and the previous layer won't move. This is more like watercolor, except I think it blends even more than watercolors. So something to keep in mind, make sure that your previous layers are nice and dry. So after a while I ended up using my hairdryer to make sure. It made it a lot easier. But anyway, after a while I was able to get the colors that I wanted and the values that I wanted. And once I was ready to draw the features on the face, I totally messed up. So I used black for the features and trying to remove it. That's a great thing with gouache, is that you can basically erase your mistake, just use a wet brush and you can do that. But I just had to add more white over the face and then skin tone over the face, and I think I messed up 3 or 4 times. I cut the video at some point so that you wouldn't see it every single time because I didn't want to bore you to death. And then I realized that what I should have done from the start was to sketch the features on the blank face. That way I had the marks ready to be painted rather than going at it straight with the black paint. So that's what I did the 4th time around, and it worked much better. So it's not a perfect doodle. The hair is not quite the same. I think I painted her hair a little bit longer than what it really is. And her eyes are a little bit wacky. I think one is a little bit bigger than the other one, so it doesn't look entirely like Kiki, but you get the gist of it. It's just a doodle. So I'm glad that I was able to work the opacity of the paint enough so that I was able to paint that character over the sky once the sky was already painted. So that's one of the things I really like about gouache. Anyways, I really enjoyed using this gouache. Like I said before, in my next video, I'm gonna make a bigger painting with more details and more elements to it. And hopefully this little sketch will have served me as a warm-up and I won't struggle as much. Thank you all for stopping by. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing to this channel. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye-bye.